Welcome to the Jacksonville Bar Association podcast. My name is Craig Shoup. I'm the executive director here at the Jacksonville Bar, and we're excited that you've joined us today. We're excited to have Michael Stanski as our guest today. Michael was admitted to the Florida Bar in 2014, and he primarily practices in the areas of military divorce, federal criminal defense, media law, and federal and state appeals. Before we get started, though, I always want to say a special thank you to all of our Jacksonville Bar Association sponsors. These sponsors include Ameris Bank, Dex Imaging, Dixon Hughes Goodman, Member Benefits, Mulholland Investigation and Computer Forensics, Orange Legal, a Veritex company, Florida Lawyers Mutual Insurance Company, YFast Networks, Charles Van Consulting, CH Mediation, Ullman Wealth Partners, Diamonds Direct, and Scarlet Group. At this time, we do have a quick message from one of our sponsors.
I'm Matt Igo, the owner, founder, and president of Seaside Claims Services. I am a third-generation Jacksonville, Florida native. I was in the Marine Corps in an anti-terrorism battalion where I learned how to conduct surveillance and counter-surveillance and things of that nature. Seaside Claims Services provides comprehensive claims investigations and efficient process serving at a very minimal cost with a very high return on investment. Some of our services include surveillance, social media investigations, process service, background checks, recorded statements, workers' compensation investigations, auto liability claims investigations, subrogation, and notary services. You can reach Seaside Claims Services by going to our website, www.seasideclaims.com, or you can contact our office at 904-506-2123.
We appreciate the support of all of our sponsors of the Jacksonville Bar Association. Well, after all of that, welcome, Michael. We're glad you're with us today. So tell us a little bit about growing up and what made you lead you down the path to be a lawyer.
So I grew up overseas. I was a military brat, and so went off to college. And as I think a lot of first-generation college students would appreciate, didn't really know what I was going to do with my education. Had a strong interest in kind of current events. I've always liked the news, kind of a news junkie, even growing up. And that kind of pushed me towards political science. And then in my sophomore year, I took a pre-law course. It was all about the First Amendment, civil rights, and I kind of got hooked. And I decided from that class on, hey, I'm going to go to law school, and that's what I ended up doing.
So you've done a lot of different types of law. What's some favorite stories from some cases you've tried or been involved in that you can share with us?
I think, 2020 was certainly a year. And so there's a lot of interesting things that came out of that, both good and bad. And I think that, we're at the tail end of a lot of the structural changes that we'll see. But I did have a case last year during the pandemic, and it was a Hague Convention case. So we were trying an individual in federal court, and we were asking the court to order some minor children returned back to the United Kingdom. And the reason that it really stands out to me is because it was very much a case where the court was actively involved. And so not that they're not involved in all cases, but they took a special interest in this one. And I was able to see kind of the power of the court. We had to get the marshals involved at one point. This is a civil case. This is not a criminal case. It was able to be wrapped up in around about 8 weeks from start to finish. And so it was good to see kind of that full force and immediate impact that the court can have, which differs from a lot of my cases that go on for a long time. Or I pick them up midway and they've been going on for a long time. So certainly an interesting case, and that practice area is certainly good, and I look forward to doing some more of those cases.
So folks may not be familiar with the Hague Convention. Can you tell folks about what that is and how that all comes about?
Right, so the Hague Convention is a treaty the United States entered into. I think the majority of countries in the world have dealt with have entered into the treaty. And basically what it says is if a child is taken to a different country without the parents' permission, then the court where the child is taken has to process and decide whether the child needs to be returned. And there's some cases where the child does not need to be returned, cases where the child has lived in the country that they were taken for a long time, or there's some type of issue with abuse or something like that. But more often than not, the children are returned so that the kind of child custody issues can be taken care of back in the country where they came from. So very interesting. It's a unique thing that a lot of the cases are brought in federal court, which is not really where family law kind of lives, but certainly an interesting practice area.
No, you said one of the things you practice is media law and involving First Amendment issues. Do you have an interesting case you've been a part of with that?
Not for a while. I did have a Freedom of Information Act case a while ago that was set to go up to the 11th Circuit, but I had to step out. But they are interesting because you see a lot of your work product immediately put into press or something like that. So that's the latest, but I've been working more appeals lately, and so that's really been my kind of primary focus lately.
Do you prefer the appellate work or do you prefer the trial work?
I do enjoy the appellate work a little bit more, and I think that as a solo practitioner has just kind of fit more for how my practice is structured and kind of lifestyle decisions. But I also certainly enjoy being in trial court, which I think is where 90% of the public sees a result come out for them. So there's certainly some good to that.
So I know one thing we do here at the bar is we want everybody to be a member. What can you tell folks who aren't a member about why maybe they should join and be involved?
Yes, everybody should be involved in the Jacksonville Bar Association. And if you're a lawyer, you have I think, certainly a responsibility to be involved in your community. And the Jacksonville Bar Association is the easiest and quickest way to do that. And I think that the folks that maybe are hesitant and aren't members probably are because they don't know about all the great things that the JBA does. Because it's not just a social gathering, right? We don't just do the luncheons, right? You have the referral service. You have all of the committee work that does. And it's significant committee work done, for the most part, by volunteers. So I don't know if that was the best endorsement, but I would certainly encourage everybody to be Jacksonville Bar Association members.
That's great. We appreciate all of our members, you especially included. So usually we've been asking another question of telling folks that are either new to the practice or new to practicing in this area what they should know about practicing the Fourth Circuit, but you do a lot of federal work. Tell me what you think new practitioners should know about practicing here in the Middle District in the Jacksonville Division.
And I think that I'll say the same thing, right? If the question was the Fourth Circuit, the commonality between the two is we have great attorneys working in both the Fourth Circuit as well as the Middle District. A lot of folks out there that are very supportive, and so we have good communities in both. But I will tell, or I do tell when I speak with younger attorneys is the first thing is get involved, right? And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. But it's not just for, like I said, the social aspect, but also for well-being, for professional development. And folks just have to find what it is that interests them and get involved in that. And there's plenty of stuff, not just in the JBA, but also in the Florida Bar. And there's some other great organizations out there. In line with that is giving back. So pro bono work should be a central part of an attorney's practice, and especially for young lawyers. And there's so much benefit to it, not just helping the community, but also helping people grow and connect, and as well as just doing meaningful things. And we're blessed here for having organizations like JALA and some of the other organizations that provide those pro bono services, because they make it easier for attorneys to get involved. And they really work with attorneys to make sure that they're getting not just things that are impactful for the community, but also stuff that interests them. So, so I'd say definitely get involved. Another thing is just practicing with professionalism, and that's not just living up to the rules of professional conduct, but looking at those professionalism guidelines that the bar puts out. And maintaining that professional practice. And it does not mean that somebody has to do everything that you like, right? Because that's not what professionalism is, right? People can be professional and not do something that you agree with. But it certainly helps young attorneys, and I think that young attorneys can get a bad rap early on if they're deviating from those guidelines and those standards. And the final thing is just trusting yourself. Young attorneys, they work hard on cases, and they come up in front of a judge or maybe an older opposing counsel, and they're like, take for granted that maybe that judge or the opposing counsel doesn't know the case or the law as well as they do. And so young attorneys should work hard and really have the confidence to be able to stand up and articulate their case.
That's a bunch of great points. I know the Florida Bar, we've had on previously on a different episode, Mike Tanner, the 2021-2022 president of the Florida Bar, and his whole stance this year is focusing on professionalism in the profession. Right. So that's definitely a great follow-up there. So we've had some fun question that I've always enjoyed, and I've got a list running in my office. What are some favorite places you enjoy to go have dinner at in North Florida? Family, friends, just a casual kind of dinner.
And it's a hard question because there's so many great places. And I think that the sin that Jacksonville is, because we have such a wide footprint, all of our great restaurants are all across Duval County. But so I'm not going to give you just one answer.
Okay,
right?
I love it. Give me a few.
And I'll tell you what, if you want to say, hey, look, Mike, you're way off base, you can tell me. I do love Takaloo, right? Okay. That's a favorite of mine and my wife's, so that's great. I live Riverside area, so a lot of these are going to be Riverside. Mm-hmm. But Horka's is great as a kind of a Asian fusion place. I also, as far as pizza, love. I'm forgetting its name now, so it just escaped me.
Carmine's?
Carmine's, there you go. See, you got it. And then for some breakfast stuff, Sweet Theory. It's just some outstanding donuts that they have. So it's just a few of the many great ones that we have here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, those are all some great spots. Those are all some great spots. My wife, when we were dating, especially enjoyed going to Carmine's frequently, but we don't live on that area of town, so it's a little more of a trek for us anymore. But
and that's the problem, right? It's kind of like Takaloo. I would go there probably every week if my wife let me, but it's just a trek out from Riverside. So we should just be thankful we have great stuff, right?
Exactly. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you with a referral, maybe or has a question in that world of the military divorces and the federal criminal defense, the media law, federal and state appeals, what's the best way for those folks to reach out to you about that?
Probably just go to my website and then my email that we can certainly put up, and contact me. Email's always good. It's super efficient.
Well, great. That's excited. Anything else you would want to make sure the audience knew that we didn't get a chance to touch on?
So I want to plug two programs. Yeah. So the first is the Florida Bar's Leadership Academy. So I'm an alumni from 2 years ago, and it's a great program, especially for young lawyers. It's a multi-session, year-long training program, and it usually runs around about 6 weekends in a year. And so the fellows, it's a fellowship, they will meet in different parts of the state together, and they will get either some type of service taken care of, or an orientation to some part of the bar. And it's a great program, meet great folks, not just the bar staff and other attorneys around the state, but also the fellows are great as well. So certainly plug that program, not just young lawyers, but kind of in that range, 0 to 10-year range. And those applications will be due at the end of January of 2022. For a start in June 2022. So, and there's a website out there that provides all that information. And the other program is just the American Inns of Court. So I discovered the American Inns of Court a few years ago, and it's another great program. There's the family law one here in Jacksonville. I'm a member of the Chester Bedell. Also, for me, a great program as far as networking, professional development, and focusing on professionalism. So certainly encourage everybody that's an attorney to look into that program as well.
Well, we thank you for joining us today. Thanks all of our viewers for tuning in, and we'll see you on our next episode.